Well, good day, everyone. Hope you are all doing great. Thank you very much for joining us today in our club, EEE Club, where we are practicing English language through book reviews, movie reviews, or any other interesting topic. Today, we are going to talk about a very interesting book. Helped me a lot before and after the COVID-19 thing and all that. This book is called Japanism. It talks about some traditions, some practices in Japan written by a Japanese person. It's a very nice book. We'll find out what we can find in it. So, first of all, the book is written by Erin Mimi Longhurst. She is a half British, half Japanese writer and blogger. She has a blog called Island Belle, focuses on food, travel, and lifestyle, another positivity given blog. She is graduated from University of Manchester with a degree in social anthropology. This book that she wrote explores the Japanese art of finding contentment through practical tips and tricks to live a happier, healthier, and more thoughtful life. So the book is written with the three chapters. The first chapter talks about the heart and the mind, or in Japanese, kokoro. And the second chapter talks about the body, karada. And the third one talks about forming the habit, shukanka. In general, the book speaks about daily activities and habits, maybe her own habits or every Japanese person habits. Uh, these activities and habits in the Japanese culture helps them have a more peaceful life, full of positivity and full of expecting the best and the worst in our days. Also, it talks about some practices for self and mind peacefulness. The writer as well tell us how to explore nature and how to explore ourselves through nature. Um, through many things, like we will see, there is the art of arranging flowers, there is the taking a walk in the sorry, taking a walk in natural places, etc. Also, the book talks about how to eat and make Japanese food. There are some food recipes in there. It's really interesting. The book also speaks about some silent, self-reflecting arts, such as calligraphy, or we'll see also the flower arrangement one. And also, finally, talks how to we can form our habits through discipline, through commitment, etc. Also, the book has some motivating sayings and proverbs. uh, you can find yourself in your goals and your aims and everything in these sayings and proverbs. It's not only included with Japanese proverbs and Japanese sayings. Actually, you can see and read sayings and proverbs from different cultures, not only Japanese. Also, the book has some colorful and amusing illustrations. Uh, very those illustrations do talk about Japan indeed. I mean, you can hear Japan by looking at these pictures, sorry, illustrations, and also the pictures as well. There are beautiful pictures about each topic in the book, real pictures, and also she included in the book pictures of her own. So the first chapter in the book is called Kokoro, the heart and the mind. If you look at the word Kokoro in dictionary or Google Translate, for example, you will see there is a translation, gives you a translation of heart or mind, etc. But the writer says that the nearest English equivalent to Kokoro is conscience. And it's really important to take care of our conscience, of our heart, our mind, to reach our mindfulness. So in this chapter, the writer tells us some practices in the Japanese culture that helped us to treat our heart, our mind, in general, our conscious well. Things like ikigai, not really sure how to, to pronounce this one clearly, which means purpose, how to find purpose in our life, what is the purpose of your life. And then there is also the beauty of imperfection and impermanence. And this is my favorite part because here she speaks about some practice in the Japanese culture that's called kintsugi, or connecting with God. I'm pretty sure most of you have seen this art already posted several times on Facebook and Instagram or anywhere else through the social media. The Japanese, when they have a vase or a piece of pottery being broken, they don't just throw it away, but they repair the broken pieces by connecting them again with gold. So rather than seeing this broken piece to be full of flaws, actually they turned this object to something more beautiful and more treasured. The gold that connects the pieces gives a more beautiful shape or a more beautiful view of that object, and having the gold as a connector makes this object more precious. So actually the concept of kintsugi, it's not only for repairing a broken vase or broken plate, etc., but actually it's a empowering concept. It's an idea, as she says, to consider when we face challenges in life, when we consider a flaw in ourselves and our personalities as obstacles in the way to achieve something. So just like the vase or the plate is being broken and we celebrate its breaking by connecting it with gold, this concept also suggests in us to celebrate every event of our life, be it a story of success or failure, achievement or disappointment, whatever these stories would be, how positive or negative they would be, they are part of our identities. So the concept of kintsugi is very, just like she says, empowering, important, and thought-provoking. There is a saying, which she includes already in the book, by Rumi, or as we know him as Jalaluddin Rumi. He says, the wound is the place where the light enters you. And this is also an empowering statement to tell you not to feel bad by a wound that happens to you because of any kind of circumstances in your life. Actually, you have to be proud of it because this wound means that you have gone through something, you have tried and experienced something new that taught you something, and thus the light enters you. And of course, the light, it doesn't mean the sun rays or something. It means the light of wisdom, light of experience, light of doing or deciding better decisions in the near future. As a practice, there are three types of kintsugi. When a vase is being broken and all the pieces of this broken vase or plate are existed, they just fix those cracks by connecting them with gold. But if one of the pieces is missing, they would replace it with gold. And the last one, if the piece is missing, they would replace it with another piece from another broken vase or plate, just like we see here. So it's really interesting, that patchwork. I find it even more beautiful than the hippie here, the fixing the crack. It's really beautiful. So this is a very famous Japanese practice. It's wonderfully mentioned here in this book. Also, when you have the book, you will find out that the writer provides you the tools that you are going to need to have this kintsugi being done properly. Chapter 2 talks about karada, or the body, how to treat our body, how to take care of it, and how to help it and make it face this life accurately. So the writer says that simple actions such as going for a walk, making tea, or arranging flowers can tell a lot about who you are and about your relation with yourself and with others. So in this chapter, she talks about nourished by nature. That's by taking a bath in the nature or taking a walk in the nature. And then she talks about food. This is a really interesting subchapter here. And also talks about ikebana, or the art of flower arranging. The art of flower arranging is also quite famous in Japan. Probably you have seen it as well on the social media. And the actual translation of ikebana is giving life to flowers. Also, it's known as kado, which means wave of flowers. This kind of art has different schools of thoughts, and each school has its own rules and own approaches. But in general, the art of arranging flowers, it's not about, despite all the rules that this practice has, it's actually, there is no plan to see how your ikebana is going to look like. But there are these arrangements are discovered or revealed as a result of the process. It's a silent pursuit and helps the designer to reflect upon the space, imbalance, and their relation with the natural world. And usually, the final product that comes after finishing a piece of ikebana reveals the person behind this piece of the art. Also, we said that there are different schools for ikebana, but there is a kind of a general rule in there, which is the three main themes that shows the relation between heaven, man, and earth. And so in every ikebana arrangement, there is the tallest stem, which is called shin, represents heaven or a higher power. And then there is the middle one, which represents man or humanity. And then the last one, which represents earth or the natural world. There are different styles of ikebana, and as you can see here, different names. I won't take the risk to pronounce them. I'm not really sure how they are being pronounced. Those are Japanese words, and each one of them, I guess, means something different, of course. But as we can see from the pictures, there are different types of vases. Like here, this one is really tall, and the composition of flowers or arrangement of flowers is giving it even a higher higher shape, or taller, sorry, taller shape. Here, this one as well is tall, but seems more stable. The proportions are different. There's kind of balance between verticality and horizontality. Also, this one here is very amusing. It even looks like an alien. Actually, it's really nice. Also, we have those two. This one is my favorite. It looks really stable. To me, it looks like a small garden rather than just an arrangement of flowers. A really interesting art. I do advise you all to check some videos and some more pictures about ikebana, or the art of arranging flowers. Then the writer talks about food, and in this subchapter, She talks about the traditional Japanese food, how we eat them, how to use the Japanese chopsticks, etc. How to eat sushi, how to eat ramen, tofu, rice balls, and also there are food recipes there. Uh, if you are really curious to try Japanese food, but you don't have a Japanese restaurant, unfortunately, uh, there are food recipes here that you can just check them and make them by yourself at your own kitchen. And then the really wonderful, amusing practice, the tea ceremony. In this subchapter, which called Ocha or tea, chai, it talks about how Japanese people like tea and how they have a special ceremony for tea. And there she gives us a Japanese proverb, just shows us how much Japanese people like tea. It says, if a man has no tea in him, he is incapable of understanding truth and beauty. And this is a really strong proverb. And I guess uh, we share this point with Japanese people because we do like tea too much too. Maybe this is the case in most of the Eastern countries, not really sure. So, Japan has what's called Sado, or the way of the tea, which is a ceremonial presentation of a powdered green tea called matcha. Not anyone can make this presentation of tea. It needs a dedication and a lot of time to be a practitioner of the tea ceremony. So as you can see here, this is the tea, powder tea, and then they add here some water, I guess, and these are the equipment they use to make the tea. This ceremony requires uh, some dress code, some interesting and appropriate theme, appropriate location, maybe as well sounds, etc. It's a really interesting thing. But the whole principle behind tea ceremony, harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility, are what we all aspire to in our lives. By performing the ceremony for others, you provide them and yourself with a physical manifestation or expression of that desire. Having people around for tea can do the same thing in smaller, subtler ways, even if it's just catching up over the food. The principle of tea, just like I said here, are harmony, living harmoniously with each other, with each other as people, and also with nature. And respect, having respect for the process of the ceremony, and respect for each other as well. And purity refers to cleanliness and orderliness, but also of being authentic, clear, and transparent. In other words, purity of mind and spirit. And finally, tranquility. Tranquility, maybe this is the hardest to learn, as the writer says in the book. It requires high level of discipline to embody tranquility both within and outside of your practice. And also, it's notable to know that not only the green tea is being served in the ceremony, there is thick tea and thin teas, and each one is presented in different ways, in different cups, etc. And if it happens that you go to a Japanese friend presents you tea, you might also be given some of these treats, like the rice cake, stuffed cake, fish cake, and red bean jelly. Looks very interesting, doesn't it? Okay. Then there is another practice for the sake of the body, which is the calligraphy, the art of writing or penmanship. So I didn't really include a lot of things for this presentation about calligraphy. However, I found it pretty close to our own practice in Arabic language, in Arabic calligraphy. It's just the same. That time, the amusing time that we spend when we practice calligraphy, the beautiful piece of art that we make after practicing calligraphy, the tools we need, the atmosphere we create for a perfect calligraphy, they're just the same as in the Japanese practice of calligraphy. And then she talks about the Japanese home. The Japanese home are really interesting. You always would see the wooden accent in Japanese home, the flexible plan, where you can easily transform the space from one function to another. There's always kind of a connection between indoors and outdoors by having plants in there. Uh, there are some spaces that you are going to see in every Japanese home, like this space here. I don't really remember what it's called, but it's a place where you leave your footwear. Most of our houses as well have this place. Here too in Turkey, every house has this place. And also here, this is the alcove, where maybe a piece from Ekebana is being presented here, displayed, or some interesting or precious pieces of art or whatsoever being displayed here. It's really similar to what we have in our houses under the name of bokeh, just the same. And the Japanese have a very nice proverb says, home is where you make it. It doesn't matter how big it is, how wonderful it is. It matters the kind of practices, the kind of atmosphere you are creating in your home there when it becomes a home. So why did I choose this book? Of course, this is what I have just presented to you are not the only things those are included in this book. There are a lot of things, like just like I said about connecting with gold. The writer shows you how to connect with gold by giving you the tools you need and stuff. The same goes with Ikebana. If you can just take the book with you and go to some shop and tell them I want these pieces, you can buy them and start making your own Ikebana. The same goes with the tea ceremony. The writer just shows you everything required to do these practices, not only the spiritual requirements, but also the physical requirements. So it's a very nice book. It's really clearly that it's made with love, with simplicity, and I do recommend it to you all. However, why did I choose it? That's the most important part. This book is a positivity giving book. By all means, each page, each illustration, each picture, each word, each statement, everything in this book, it just gives you a lot of positivity. It's wonderful the way it's written, the simple language that's used. It's all giving you a kind of a positive energy over and over. This book also helps organizing your thoughts, habits, and plans. Most of us have a lot of ideas and plans that we want to do in our life, but we don't know how to organize them. We don't know how to work, how to plan ourselves and stuff. This book, it doesn't give you a plan or something, but while you read it, you will find yourself unwillingly presented in there, reflected in there. So you will find yourself capable of planning and organizing your thoughts and plans. Also, this book changed your perspective about life. Why? Because it gives you the Japanese point of view about life, and it shows you that life is it's much more simpler than we think, and those obstacles we have between whiles are actually advantages for us. They make us stronger, they make us wiser. So it changes your perspective about life. Also, there are some kind of, as I mentioned in the beginning, there are some kind of practices which helps you change your perspective about life. For example, there is one which I really like. the writer suggests that instead of just being sad or upset about something during the day, before you go to sleep or anytime, pick a pen and a paper and write 7 things or 10 things that you are grateful for this day, only this day. Like, for example, I'm grateful it didn't rain today, for example, or I'm grateful I ate healthy, stuff like that. It will help you focus on the good things in your life, no matter how simple they are, and forget about all these things which upset you, which actually, if we think about them, these upsetting things, they just happen occasionally, unlike the things that you are grateful for, which they happen to you every day, and unfortunately, sometimes we forget to notice them. The other point is this book makes you look for and wonder about similar acts and traditions from your own culture. When you're going to read this book, for example, when you go to come to the tea ceremony, you'll wonder, do we have a similar tradition? Do we have a similar ceremony? Maybe. So each page you're going to read in this book, it will make you wonder the similarities between your own culture and the Japanese culture. Also, the book gives you some nice, useful knowledge about Japanese culture and Japanese people. Of course, the internet is full of this knowledge and this information, but it's really wonderful to find those informations from a person who already comes from this culture and giving it to you willingly and simply. It's quite different. So I do recommend this book to you. It's very wonderful. It helped me at a time when I needed some guidance in my life, and it helped me as well during the COVID-19 bad days, the quarantine and stuff. It was really helpful. So I do suggest you all to check this book and give it a try. From a language perspective, the language of this book is really easy and understandable, and it's not hard at all. So for discussion, I wonder what you guys have to say about the Japanese culture. And if you are going to write a book about your own culture, just like Erin here did, what traditions and habits would you like to introduce to your readers? And finally, would you read this book? Of course, these points are not the only one you can discuss about. You can discuss about anything else, but those might be helpful for you to practice the language a bit. So whoever would like to participate right now in the discussion, just raise your hand and we'll have your participation. Nahla.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, Ms. Dina.
Hi.
How's it
How are you?
going?
Perfect.
I'm fine. I'm fine, not bad, alhamdulillah. Hello, everyone. I hope you all doing well. At first, I would like to thank Ms. Dina for all this interesting information about Japanese culture and all these details you mentioned it. It's really interesting and I love it. I loved it. Okay, about tell us what you think of the Japanese culture. Japan has a fascinating and multifaceted culture. On the one hand, it is steeped in the deepest of traditions dating back thousands of years. On the other, it is a society in continual state. Continual state, yes, of rapid flux with the fashions and technological development and many other things. This is part of what make it such a fascinating country to visit. And if you are looking for something different, you are, I sure you, we will find it in Japan. يعني, it's a country of dreams, we can say. We can say that, Miss, is right. It is right. Country of يعني بلد الأحلام.
Yes, you can say that if you think so.
Okay. To me, I think that.
Right.
Also, the Japanese founding their nation on education the Japanese individual first, then learning.
Yes.
Because of that, maybe they be what يعني like this today. If you are to write a book about your culture, what traditional and habits would you like to introduce to your readers? Okay, I think I will write about food and arts because both of them are popular in some countries of the world. يعني about the arts, as for art, I will talk about music and the types of Iraqi shrines that my country is famous for, and the handicraft, sorry, that tells the story of the past and merges it with the present.
Interesting.
Yeah, and would you read this book? Yeah, I would like to do that because something in this book attract me. It's a passionate work, or that is, or fixing the crash. That's and replacing with gold. I like this. I like this point. And Pash work, and it's very interesting thing.
Yeah.
I would like maybe I learn this type of work because I love handicraft, and always I work on it.
Great.
Because of that, maybe I read this book, inshallah. And thanks, Ms. Zina. Thanks for this amazing topic.
Thank you too. So we have
Welcome.
Liang.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how's it going? Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Actually, in the first, I want to thank you regarding this information. It was kind and really interesting.
Thank you.
We don't know all about this country because it's so far off our countries, and also there are people don't communication for each other with others directly or closely. Also they spend all time with doing things, and also they are far away from our countries because this is they are political, and they are president, government. It's definitely different from us and from our society, or not society, from our political. So I think about the Japanese. It's now a worldwide for the tradition art, and also it has a legacy of distinctive gardens, sculpture, pottery. Also
Hello.
silence and very respectful people. Also intelligence, very intelligent from the small age or from the early age. They really want to learn themselves and get more cultures and get more information. Also they form the persons and clean. They who are in the
You have a bad connection today, Rian. Hello?
places that
Well, Rian's connection is really bad today. Hope she gets back soon. Anyone else would like to make participation here? Jose.
hello.
Hi, Rian. You have went mute. What's wrong?
No, I lost the connection.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
So where the last word you have heard?
the last word we have heard was that you are saying that Japanese people are always eager for learning and educating themselves.
Yes, and also they are intelligent and formal, kind, respectful. They respect the clean or the hygiene. They learning from school or from the early age to their children. So it is a nice country with discipline, and they also respect the people, even it is a cleaner or it is a manager. So there is no difference in the position in the society.
Yes.
And the other discussion or question, if you are write a book about your culture, actually I am really happy for becoming an Iraqi, because the Iraq has one of the world oldest culture histories and boasts a rich heritage. But now we don't respect or we don't mention this history. So there is many values that are honored in the Iraqi culture, including generosity and humanity. Also, the men commonly hold hand on kiss when greeting each other, but actually that's not cases for men and women. Respect is given to the elderly of the women, especially those has with children. Also, we can mention the market. Any market reflect the local culture and economy, such as the famous Al Safafir market in Baghdad, which is one of the oldest market in the city, established as we know in the Abbasi's period. Also, we can mention the food. Popular dishes included kebab and falafel. Also, kufta masgouf. This is a fish on open garlic crab. Yes. Also,
Pacha. Pacha.
yes,
Gotcha.
yes, we can mention that. Yes. Also, we can mention the music and talk about the famous persons because the Iraqi music has its historic roots in an ancient traditions. Yes, al-maqam, yeah, and from creation the oldest guitars, and the world, and we also have proofs and potteries in our country. And regarding the literature, we have the greatest Arab poets all the time, Abu Tayyib Mutanabbi of the Abbasid period. And we have the modern potter is Mahdi Jawahari, Nazik al-Malaika. We have a lot of greatest and famous potteries. Also we have a museum in Iraq, that means National Museum and Baghdadi Museum, Museum of Natural History. We are rich and of a lot of traditional and culture, but unfortunately we don't respect it, and we don't not respect. We don't growing it, develop it. We based on the history. We doesn't going forward, or based on this hard route, and build our future, because the bad situations had ever have we had it in a war, and all things that we have faced. And so if we will be in a peace country, we will have a greatest future,
Indeed.
because of we have a greatest history.
Mhm.
And thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you, Riyam. Anyone else? There was Qusay. Where did you go? Yes, there you are.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, it's my pleasure to meet with you again. I appreciate your effort, but I think there is some complication and philosophy in this book, so make me confused. Maybe I need repeat it again and another time to understand a lot about discussions. Actually, there is no doubt that Japanese culture is one of the best cultures in the world. Furthermore, it is different and special. I meet some of them and noticed they aren't lying and like to help others, humble, etc. And I don't want to exaggerate it, but you really feel that they are angels walk on the earth, on the earth. Yeah. About the second, I cannot if I understand what's mean, but I think there are a lot of traditional and habits I would like to introduce for readers regards me, such as respect the law, cleanliness, loving people, and help them for free. About would you like read this book? I don't like read this book because firstly I need to develop my language until I can understand this book. Yes, thank you.
Thank you too. Thanks, Qusay. Anyone else? Okay. Actually, talking about Japan cannot just be sufficient by reviewing a book. For example, regarding their designs or their gardens, I recently read a book about how they designed the sound of the gardens by using different materials, using different plantation stuff. It's really wonderful. They have that kind of spirituality in everything they are doing. I think the second question was a bit misunderstood by most of you, but this is my mistake, or not only actually my mistake, but it's because you didn't read the book. Now you've seen how the book is written and how it's how the chapters has been arranged. So what if you are going to write a book like the one that Erin wrote? What are you? How are you going to tell us to treat our bodies and minds and reach the purpose and the mindfulness and stuff like that in regarding our culture? And Japanese people can reach this stuff. What about our culture or any other culture around the world? You don't really have to answer this question. It's just something that you can consider in the coming days. You might write your own book indeed, or you may find yourself within your own culture. Maybe you don't need to read about Japanese culture to find your purpose in life. Okay, we have Mariam. Mariam, can you unmute yourself?
Hello everyone.
Hi,
How are you?
perfect. Thank you.
Okay, fine. I want to say the first thing that comes to my mind when I hear Japan is commitment to a law and systems,
Mhm.
and Japanese people is famous by commitment at law and system.
Yes.
Okay, and another thing that comes to my mind is technology as well.
Of course.
Okay, and Japanese people commitment to health and fitness.
Mhm.
So we can notice that the Japanese people are characterized by long age.
Mhm.
Mm, what can I say? But regarding our culture, I can speak for Nomi Basra tea.
Mhm.
As we don't find this drink at any another country,
Yeah.
so I think that Iraq famous in it,
Mhm.
and and yes, I maybe I will read this book one day because I love Japan in general, and I love their culture. And one day I wish to learn Japanese language.
Great.
Yes, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Thank you, thank you, Zina.
Thank you too, Mariam. Okay. Anyone else? Nahla, yes, go ahead.
I would like to add something, Miss. I have read that they are in their schools for the first 6 years of their children's life, teaching them culture, and then moving onto basic education. I think because of that, they consider from developing countries. Because also I read that, or I know from many years, the basis for progress in every country is culture.
Yes, indeed.
And yeah, it's very important to make your country its culture, or to know about our culture
Indeed.
and use it in our life.
Mhm. Indeed.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you too. I have noticed that too. Not really sure about Japan or China or any place else, but there are a lot of countries which we are amazed by how cultured they are. When you track down how they are becoming that way of, let's say, almost perfection, we find out that they appreciate, they admire their history, it's precious to them, and and they maintain some traditional habits and traditional acts in their daily lives. So there is a real connection between the present and the past days of theirs. Uh, I don't know. We don't have that in our country, or in our, not only in our country, in Middle East in general. We
Yeah.
are so detached from our history, from our traditions. we know them only through reading books or from a very systematic, boring educational system. But in fact, that we don't have any kind of connection with our history. We just know there is kind of a history we have, but how are we connected to it? What did we bring to our present from our history? There is no such thing. There's no such connection. So maybe this is one of the points that make people well cultured, well civilized, and developed. Probably, not sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks for this point, Nahla. Anyone else?
Comes.
No. Okay. Well, I really am glad that you have come to this session. I enjoyed this book and I recommend you all to read it. Regarding the language, it's easy to read this book. It's not hard at all. I assure you that. Also, I hope that you enhanced and enjoyed your English today. There is a possibility this discussion is going to move on till the next week because there is a possibility, a high possibility, that the author of the book herself is going to join us next week. And this is going to be a really good opportunity for all of us to hear the Japanese culture from a Japanese British person and to hear English from a native person. So I hope that you are going to be there by then. Hopefully she will be capable of attending and joining us next week. That's all for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hope to see
Thank you,
all
Miss.
soon. Thank you too. Have a good day and bye-bye.
Bye bye.